Ah, the Shantae series. What started as a small indie title for the Game Boy Color back in 2002 has come full circle into being back on a handheld console. Though, to call it small wouldn't quite be giving Shantae the credit she deserves. Since her initial debut, her series has become so renowned that she actually appears in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as a spirit. It's quite a testament to how impressive her games are. So, when I heard that she was getting a 5th game in her franchise, I was ecstatic, and then disappointed to find out it was only on Apple Arcade. But then it came to consoles in May of 2020, and I was ecstatic again to wait 6 months for my limited run games copy to show up in the mail.
Behold, my stuff.
With that said, I finally got my hands on the game, and I couldn't be more excited to share my thoughts. Shantae and the Seven Sirens begins as a direct result of the events of Half-Genie Hero. Our favorite belly dancer is now world famous and has been invited to a festival to celebrate her accomplishments along with 5 other Half-Genies. Unfortunately, during their debut performance, everyone but Shantae gets genie-napped, and she's left to solve the mystery of the disappearances and of the island on which they occurred. As she traverses the labyrinthian landscape, Shantae needs to piece together what diabolical, treacherous, inhuman
Risky boots!
Come on. 4 games strong and you couldn't guess, it's risky. Yes, like Mario with Bowser and Sonic with Eggman, Shantae can't seem to escape a plotline that isn't a direct result of Risky's meddling in some way, shape, or form. It's not the worst thing in the world, but like with Mario and Sonic games, you're not really coming for a compelling tale as much as you're coming for compelling gameplay. And with that said, Seven Sirens abandons the more linear style of its predecessor and returns to the good old-fashioned Metroid-Vania gameplay mechanics the series is known for. In fact, I'd go as far to say that Seven Sirens is perhaps the most similar to its inspiration than any of the previous titles have ever been. Paradise Island itself is one giant interconnected labyrinth, and as you progress through the story, abilities are obtained that result in easier traversal and acquisition of previously unobtainable items. It truly is a Metroid-Vania in every sense of the word. Furthermore, the transformation and ability mechanics have been streamlined into a much sleeker, and I would argue better, system. In previous titles, the transformations Shantae obtained were situational forms she could use to traverse her environment, but the issues lay within the limited use that they provided, as well as their tendency to make prior forms more or less obsolete. In Half-Genie Hero, the crab transformation is the main aquatic method of traversal until the mermaid transformation is acquired. At that point, the crab is barely, if ever, used again. This goes double for most vertical methods of transport after receiving the Harpy form, which is pretty much the be-all end-all transformation in that title. Seven Sirens is able to remedy this by defaulting to something similar to the power-up system used in Pirate's Curse. As opposed to dance-based transformations, Shantae is given fusion coins which activate different forms at the push of a button. These forms include the Dash Newt for quick dashes and wall climbing, the Gastro Drill for digging, the Bonk Tortoise for horizontal charges, the Sea Frog for underwater travel, and the Jet Octo for advanced verticality. But traditionalists shouldn't fret, as dances make their way back into the game as well. Sort of.
Incredible! I feel like dancing!
The dances function fairly differently than in past titles. As mentioned, the fusion coins fill the role of transformations, so the dances instead affect the surrounding area, allowing Shantae to activate switches or see invisible platforms, for example. It takes some getting used to, but I think it's easily the best compromise they could have made, all things considered. As for combat, it's about the same as it's always been. Shantae mostly fights with her hair whips, but magical items can be purchased and upgraded from the store. These items use up the magic meter and if invested in heavily, can make the game a little bit of a cakewalk. Fortunately, you're not stuck with the upgrades once you buy them. So if you want to use some magical items without wanting to be an unkillable god, you can always select the inferior version of that spell to balance things out. And while on the subject of upgrades, Seven Sirens adds an all-new system to the game in the form of cards. As you make your way through the sunken city, you'll notice that enemies will occasionally drop what look like trading cards. Well, they are trading cards, and each trading card affects Shantae's abilities. Think of it as a toned-down version of the badges from Shovel Knight. 3 cards can be active at any given moment, and while most provide a minor enhancement like a boost to climbing speed, the rare ones that you can purchase from NPCs with gold nuggets grant substantial boosts like increased attack damage or decreased magic costs for dances and spells. If you pick the right combination, it makes all the difference. And I should probably also mention the New Game Plus function while we're still on gameplay. This seems to have upset some fans from what I've seen. Unlike most New Game Plus features in other games, Shantae doesn't begin the mode with all her spells and abilities. Rather, it's more or less a hard mode wherein Shantae has less defense and a larger magic meter. She also has a different outfit to keep things fresh, but it's a New Game Plus in name alone, and it doesn't quite fit the common description. The Shantae series has always gone all out on its various sets and with its music, and I'm happy to say that Seven Sirens is no exception. Each area feels unique in both its visuals and its sound. Whether Shantae is jumping through the jungle or bopping through the boiler room, the mood is very clearly reflected in what you see and what you hear. However, as I played, something did feel slightly off about the music. Longtime series composer Jake Kaufman was unfortunately unavailable for Seven Sirens, so the music lacks his personal flair. Instead, the game is led by a series of composers, and while the music is still fantastic, it may take some adjusting for longtime fans of the series and of Kaufman's unique style. Unfortunately, the overall presentation is marred by one new implementation into the game, the fully animated cutscenes. Now, look, I love Shantae, and I love WayForward as a developer, and it's due to this love that I have to honestly say I've seen Newgrounds Flash animations with higher quality than what's shown off here. Don't get me wrong, some of them look fine. Hell, the opening of the game I showed at the start of the video is animated by Studio Trigger, the animators of Kill la Kill, and it looks insane. However, it's painfully obvious that a bulk of the animation cost was probably spent there, and the subsequent scenes just don't hold up. It's actually a bit of a disappointment, as it took away from the immersion in quite a few cases. I almost feel like static artwork with fully voiced lines may have been a better route to pursue, both visually and financially. The issue is made all the more upsetting considering the phenomenal voice talent that goes highly underused in these scenes. Cristina Valenzuela reprises her role as the titular genie and, fittingly, has the most spoken dialogue. But with the likes of Karen Strassman as Sky and Ross O'Donovan as Bolo, I just wish these characters had more chances to let themselves be heard. Though I suppose that not hearing the characters isn't the worst thing in the world, they still speak outside the cutscenes like everyone else. And the writers of the dialogue deserve a ton of praise because I was genuinely laughing out loud at some of the character interactions that took place here. Even unimportant wandering NPCs are a wealth of humor, and I highly recommend talking to everyone after each chapter to find out what they have to say. The dialogue is always changing and it's always funny. Shantae and the Seven Sirens is a beautiful, hilarious, and honest-to-goodness fantastic title. It's a bit on the easy side, but you can ramp up the challenge if the difficulty isn't to your taste. The only real issue the game has is with its cutscenes, as everything else is done borderline flawlessly. In fact, I'll go as far as saying that Shantae and the Seven Sirens is easily the best title in the Half-Genie's repertoire. And because no one is satisfied unless you give something some kind of numerical score or grade, let's go with the tried and true Japanese scoring method and give it a solid S. I highly recommend this game. It's a great entry into the Metroid-Vania genre and into the Shantae series as a whole. Thanks for watching. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. It really helps the channel. Also, leave a comment if you have a game you want to see reviewed, as I plan on doing more of these in the future. But that's all for now. Until next time, later.